It's all nice, easy to do, finger. So one thing I changed is we've gone back to my castaway. I've always ran clips. He's got a bit of a beating, this fella. Ready to go though. I'm still a bit undecided with hooks. So last season I was going to the effort of cutting off the back, the Roman made mud eye. I'm down to 3 days left before the wire comes out. So I've been told doesn't mean I can't not wear this stupid boot anymore, but that's okay. So I've got a few new things to the boat. Sort of while I've been sitting around / waiting to be able to go fishing. One is the new live target pole. Check this one out. So this is from GFab. Sets up perfectly straight. Cable's all nice and protected. It's like a little plastic shroud in there now, hardly any cable exposed. It's all nice, easy to do, finger for adjusting, no Allen key anymore. The most important part, check how long this thing is. And then how long this handle is. So I can just reach that from the ground. I'll get back a bit. But as you can imagine now, when I'm standing on the front deck, that's going to be perfect. No more of this leaning over, getting us all back and messing around. And I love the extra bit on here, so it's like actually in the boat now, whereas before it was, the way I had it before was further out from the boat and you had to lean down all the time to get to it. So I've been going through everything in the boat, getting ready, as you do when you got time to think about things, and also know I'm only going to get a couple of trips in this cod season. I don't want anything to go wrong. So if I hook a fish, I'm not going to lose this thing. So one thing I changed is we've gone back to my castaway. So I didn't realise this till I started asking the question. I hate popping off lures. I hate losing lures, especially gigantorels and stuff like that. Just bigger, heavier baits. And there's that shock all the time on a backlash, on a cast, even sometimes I guess with the fish hitting it with such a big swim bait rod, etc. I've never ever had a problem with castaway, and now I'm going back to it. And after I asked a few questions about this line, I've since found out why. So castaway is what they call a composite line. So it's 8 strands, but it's 4 strands PE and 4 strands PET. So it has 4 thicker strands made of extruded monofilament rather than PE like braid. So that takes up all your shock. So then you're not going to risk breaking the finer cores of your finer PEs, not know about it, and then hit it one more time and then everything's gone. So I'm super happy that I've swapped over to all them. So I've always ran clips, and everybody says, haven't you had a clip fail? Why do you run clips? So on and so forth. No, I haven't had a clip fail on a fish. But answering that question to so many people, feel like you're almost jinxing yourself. You know, people say, oh, have you ever had your wheel bearings fail? It's like, no, I never had my wheel bearings fail. Then next trip you go on, guess what happens? I don't run clips when I'm GT popping. I run a solid ring and a split ring. And when I fished with Troy recently, he was the same. He runs a solid ring and a split ring on his cod tackle. And I'm like, why do I run it anything different on my cod tackle? So now I'm swapping back to the solid ring, split ring combo. No room for failure, can't break, nothing can happen to it. And it is so much easier to undo a split ring, like to split ring your lure off with split ring pliers with big gloves on, than it is with a clip and big gloves, which most of the time I take my gloves off, unclip my lure, but no more. So there it is there, solid ring tied to the line, split ring to the lure. He's got a bit of a beating, this fella. Ready to go though. I'm still a bit undecided with hooks. Typically, I always run the 41 BCs, but they have a slight curve in on the tip, and when I run them on a dowel swimmer, you can literally, if you hold the dowel swimmer vertically, you can literally run your hand down the dowel swimmer, and with those glides on the side of that dowel swimmer, those hooks are hidden and you can't even hook yourself. And nearly all my dowel swimmer fish come on that back hook. So barramundi fishing, I run the STX or STX 58TN. That's what I run barramundi fishing, because any triggered bites, nose bumps, anything with those straight points, I really want to hook those fish. So right now, not 100% sure what to do with hooks. I really like the STX and I like those straight points rather than the curved in points. However, not a big fan of silver hooks with cod. Probably only in my head because it doesn't worry me when I'm barramundi fishing, but not sure. At this stage, the roach that's on my rod has STXs from the last trip, the only trip that I've had this season. So I think at the moment I'm going to run with STXs, but I'll still bring the 41 BCs. Put all my chin weights in one little handy tub. So last season I was going to the effort of cutting off the back and putting a split ring on the front. This season, just going to leave them as is so I can twist them on nice and easy. So a lot of people ask me off my previous videos already for this season what size chin weights to use, and that varies so much. It's almost a rhetorical question, you know. I go anywhere from an 1/8, 1/6, 1/4, 3/8, half ounce. Last season even used a 3/4 ounce on a dowse swimmer. So all depends, completely depends on the angle of the bank that you're fishing, how steep, how far you're casting obviously, and how deep the fish are going to be. So Copeton, shallow, freshly flooded grass, I reckon I can almost get away with no chin weight because of upgrading the hooks and the split rings will get it to sink. But I just put that 1/8 on there, and that's enough to just get that nose angle down fairly early, and then doesn't sink too much when you're just ticking it along in that real shallow grass. And my last little, not so much trick, but idea for this season is I'm going to run a TN80 on a different rod just for the live target. So if I see a cod, tracks my big swim bait and has no interest in it, or follows me back, doesn't take it, I'm going to pitch that smaller bait to it. It sinks quicker. It also vibrates, which can cause a bit of a reactive response rather than just an eating response. I like the idea of running a little bit smaller bait when I can see exactly what I'm casting at. So it'll be interesting to see if that works. I know some of the guys have fished, well, so I've heard some of the guys have fished a lot smaller vibes and stuff at the fish that they can see. So keen to see how that one goes. Got a good feeling about it. Biwa Capsies, 9-inch, big paddle tail plastic. Super keen to chase those fish a little bit later in the day when they come out wider with this thing. See if I can find, because I know for a little bit before I hurt myself, found that one fish in the main part of the lake that I could chase around. I threw gigantorels at it the entire time. Well, I never actually caught up to it, but I threw gigantorels to the back of it, which didn't obviously work. So the plan is, in like the sort of non-bite periods, I guess, see the fish that I can find in deeper water, throw this big paddle tail plastic out there because it sinks well, swims well, and just very keen to see how that one goes. So reels are all the Komodo SS with the big power handle. Loving that big power handle. And the 300 size spool. What you will notice is different. No NS rods. And that's not any fault from the swim bait rods that I was running last season, apart from a buddy of mine dropped a barramundi on them at Callide last barra season and broke them. So you can't get them anymore. Well, you can't get them at the moment, so I'm not sure when they come in the country. So I'm using the Furies and the Bullshad. So I've got the 806, which at the moment I think is going to be my big topwater rod, which I haven't talked about yet. The 796 is to throw in the Capsies. The Bullshad rod, which I caught my cod on before I hurt myself, is going to be my Gigantorel rod, actually. 806 is going to be a combination between topwater and dowse swimmer. So I really like the dowse swimmer, and I didn't get a chance to use it much. I gave it to Mick when he came to Copeton with me, and if you've seen that video, you'd know that he caught a cod on nearly straight away. I think it was like his second or third cast. Dowse swimmer, Gigantorel, Capsies, topwater, TN80. Not bad. Enough lures to get confused. Topwater, still not sure whether I stick with Commotion Joe or go over to the Ballista Tremor 200. I don't know. I guess what I can do is switch between the two each morning. Try Commotion Joe, and then next day try the Tremor 200. See which one I'm either get the first hit on or more confident in throwing. I know the Tremor's probably easier to throw than Commotion Joe, but he's just fun because he's so big. I've been organising all my trays. That's a Gigantorel collection. As you can see, got a few nice colours in there. This one's particularly interesting. Haven't used him before. Redfin, love it. Roach, very happy with how that's worked. This bad boy, it's RT Carp. He caught me a few last season. Another new one, can't remember what it's called. But it looks pretty cool. Even though I have a whole bunch of colours, I know what's going to happen. Whichever colour catches the first one, which is probably going to be rose because that's what's on my rod, will be the one that I stick with for the majority of at least the next trip, maybe not the rest of this season. Although last season I retired the lures that caught the fish over a metre, which is what a few other guys have been doing. So who knows, might run out of roaches pretty quick. Check out that one. He has caught some fish, but not big enough to retire. So is this fella. He's also caught a bunch of fish, but no meteries. So still in the rack. I don't think he's caught me much yet. One final lure a few guys asked me about was laying on the deck in one of my other videos. This is the Roman made mud eye. 220 grams this thing weighs. Handmade timber and swims incredible. A little bit, doesn't sink very well, doesn't sink very much I should say. Difficult to put chin weights on without putting them on the middle hook hanger. I guess I could maybe hook one on the nose, not sure, but swims brilliantly and very keen. It dwarfs a Gigantorel. Very keen to try this out, but I'm not going to do it straight up because I want to catch one. I'm going to stick with what I know works, what I'm used to using, and he'll get his turn. How's that for a perfect container? Split rings and all my trebles. 1/0s, 2/0s, 3/0s. Now I guess I don't have to decide which one I'm going to use because I got both. It's perfect. Tell me there is a more annoying lure to put in a tackle box than a cod paddler. That is literally like the biggest tackle box I have, and there's about 6 lures in there. And Commotion Joe doesn't even fit, and I only have one tremor in there. All my other top waters like snakes and wake baits are in another tray, and then I have another tray of top waters for smaller ones, which I don't think I'll take. I just take these big paddlers and my big wakes. Dow's normally comes with a brown tail, but I thought I'd pimp him up a bit. Suits him better, you know, with all the reds and stuff he's got going on. I doubt even Mr. Cod's going to notice, but I'll notice. And with that, I'm ready to go. You!